Hey guys, Gabe from the Rad Company, and in today's video, we're gonna take your engine bay from looking like this to this. In front of us are all the tools that we are going to use in today's wash process on this engine bay. Some of the tools that we're using today, you don't necessarily need, but it is definitely beneficial to have to get to that higher level of cleaning. In order to do so, we are going to break this down in a 5-step process. Step 1 is going to be our engine bay air blaster, getting all the tight nooks and crannies in areas that we can't otherwise reach. Our step 2 is going to be a dwell process where we utilize Green Star as our APC and we foam the vehicle and we let it sit and dwell and break down the contamination on the flat surfaces. Step 3 is going to be a contact wash, so that way we can actually scrub and get any of the dirt or contamination and lift it out of those tight areas. And our 4th step, we'll dry it to make sure that the engine bay is as dry as possible before following step 5, which is our dressing with KCX Motorplast. Let's get started. So before we even get into the wash process of the engine bay, there's a couple of preparation steps that we need to take prior. One, making sure you have the right protection. That's gloves, if you want to wear glasses or goggles, as well as PPE. The other thing is making sure that our engine is as secure and ready as possible, making sure that all your caps are tightened and making sure that everything is in its place. That is going to be key when we actually go through and utilize pressured air and water on this engine bay. Now, people have a tendency of not doing an engine bay detail because they don't want to hurt the components of their engine. Ways to do this properly are utilizing a plastic bag to cover your alternator, or if you have an older vehicle, your carburetor, making sure that you don't get water in those areas. And for your battery and your electrical, it is best to disconnect your battery if you can do so, or even take it out. And the other thing to note, if you have electrical wires and stuff like that, when you're going through with compressed air and or a pressure washer, make sure you steer clear of those areas, not hitting them directly. The very first thing that I'm going to start with is actually utilizing our Air Blaster Mini. Now, I'm utilizing this tool because oftentimes when you open up an engine bay, in your cowling you'll see leaves or you'll have dirt and grime like we see in this engine. Any loose contamination, I'm going to want to push off the engine prior to even intermixing an APC or any type of water. So I'm going to use the engine air blaster. I'm going to start with the cowling because typically that's the area that's going to collect the most as far as leaves and contamination. And I'm going to work my way towards the front and ensure that we get as much of the contamination off prior to our next steps. So this part is now done. Now, it's not clean. That's not what we were going for. The biggest thing, again, to reiterate, is this tool is meant to get any of the big contamination off the surface. This car does look like it has been dressed maybe a while back, which is why there's still dirt and contamination stuck to the plastics and the surfaces. That's where the engine blaster is going to come into play.
Are you subscribed to the Rad Company YouTube channel? Because if you're not, you should be. 90% of the people who are subscribed to this channel have cleaner cars. You do the math. I didn't.
For this portion, we're using KCX Green Star, and this is going to be our APC of choice, diluted 5:1. I oftentimes utilize Green Star with an IK sprayer where I spritz the whole engine bay, even the hood, and I let it sit and dwell before going and rinsing. However, for this video, we wanted to show you a tool that packs a serious punch as another option. This is the engine bay blaster. Now, what I like about this tool is it has a very long shaft, making it easy to get into tight to reach areas that I otherwise couldn't do with just a sprayer or a brush. But the other cool thing is it's got a very, very narrow diameter, and with compressed air and liquid, it causes your liquid and your air to come out extremely fast, making it impactful. This is important to note because certain areas of an engine are dirtier than others, and you need that extra punch to get any of the contaminants off. It also has the ability to adjust air to liquid, so we can choose how much liquid we want to pick up compared to air. So this tool is going to be very, very useful for getting that engine looking extremely, extremely clean. But one thing to note about this, when you are utilizing an APC with this tool, your APC or anything that is being picked up and pushed out, it's going to be atomized. So you want to make sure that you are wearing either a face mask or you're doing this in a very, very well ventilated area. So now that we've had time To let our APC dwell, we're gonna move on to the next step. Now, one thing to note, we're not letting our APC dry. Our APC is still damp on the surface, working its way and breaking down contamination. So what we're gonna do is we are going to actually foam the engine bay utilizing GSF. This is a pH neutral soap. We've already utilized a kind of heavier APC to break down contamination. This is for extra cleaning and for that agitation. So we are going to dilute this 10:1 in a foam cannon, and the tools that we are going to be using, we're going to be utilizing the Detail Factory curveball brush as well as the tri-grit brush. Now these two tools are going to be key for the radiator support and front clips. Anywhere where there's painted areas, we want to make sure that the synthetic bristles are doing its job in its cleaning, but not scratching or marring. The other Detail Factory brush that we are utilizing is we're utilizing the wheel face brush. Now, this is a little bit more harder, but it's also still very soft. This is gonna be utilized on the plastics as well as some of the nooks and crannies. And the final tool that we're gonna be utilizing is the Ultra Cyclone wheel mitt. Now, this is one thing that I really like to utilize on hoses specifically, where I can put my hand in and actually kind of cup the hose and agitate as needed. These 4 tools are going to be fantastic for the actual cleaning process. Once this is complete, we'll move to the rinse and then the drying process. So we just finished the rinse process. We were very careful in that process not to get super close. We got all the soap off. So the next step is to dry it. There are a couple of different options that you can choose when drying. You have the option of utilizing a leaf blower, in our instance, the Ego, or you could use a microfiber of your choosing. In this instance, our choosing is the Rip and Rags. Finally, the other option, which we are going to use today, is the Air Blaster Mini. Now, the reason why we're choosing the Air Blaster Mini is I want to get deep into the nooks and crannies. Getting those small, intricate areas is going to be a key component of getting a perfect, detailed engine bay. We made it to the final step, the stage where we put on the dressing. But before we go into that, I want to talk a little bit about the previous stage where we did the actual drying. Now, we went through and we utilized the rag company Rip and Rag, and through that process, we still pulled up some dirt and contamination and grease. You can be as thorough as you possibly can, and there's still the potential of grabbing any dirt and contamination. So that's why that process of utilizing a towel or a microfiber towel in the drying process is key. Now let's talk a little bit about Motorplast. What makes Motorplast so unique is its versatility for adding protection and making your engine look fantastic. Motorplast gives you a layer of corrosive protection as well as temperature-based protection up to 250 degrees Celsius or 428 degrees Fahrenheit. And the process of applying this is super easy. It's as simple as just working your way from the back to the front and working it from the sides, just spraying and letting it sit and level. Oftentimes in this process, I do the engine bay first prior to detailing the rest of the car. That way, Motorplast has time to set and cure. 20 to 30 minutes is about right as far as the dwell time of letting this sit. Once you have let it sit for a while, come back with your Rip and Rags and double check for any areas that may have puddled. You can easily level them out. You can spritz a little bit more Motorplast. And the other cool thing about this, unlike any other dressings, is it's gonna be dry to the touch. You're not gonna get any of that sticky, greasy feeling that dressings sometimes have. And what's good about that is it's not gonna attract dirt like what this engine had before. But at the end of the day, with these step-by-steps, your engine bay is gonna look as fantastic as the engine behind us. So that concludes today's engine bay detail. Now, again, it's very simple. If you follow these step-by-steps, utilizing tools or very similar tools, you too can get the same result. And again, Motorplast for the win in making this engine bay look brand new. Would you believe that this car has 60,000 miles? And to be quite frank, it looks better than any car I have ever seen at a dealership. To make this process easy for you to follow, we linked all of the tools that we used in this video in the description down below. That way you too can follow along on this video process. I hope you find this video helpful, and for more videos, or if you like this video, make sure you give us a big thumb up and stay tuned by subscribing down below for more videos right here on the Rag Company YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.